Hey everyone, I'm just setting up to do some voiceover stuff for work, and I figured I'd warm up and fit in another quick video for you all. When I was growing up, I was super into stuff like the Prodigy, Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers, and I'm never really sure what exactly to call that kind of music. I've heard the term big beat used, and that sounds pretty fitting as they use a lot of drum loop layering to create some really dense big beats. So I'm going to show you a cool technique for that using grain. Now when you drag a loop into the Reason Arranger, assuming it's properly cut, all you need to do to get it to match the tempo is you hold Option or Alternate on PC, and then you just drag it out to 1, 2, 4, however many bars it is. And then the loop is going to match the tempo of the track. But at slower speeds, you're going to start to hear more of that stretching effect. So let's try something like 125 BPM. And I suppose in some of that older big beat stuff, they wouldn't really have had this kind of time stretching. And if you wanted a loop to play back slower, then you would just pitch it down until it was playing at the right tempo. Now in Cubase, you can do this using something called tape mode. Currently in Reason, everything is going to have its pitch preserved and be time stretched, regardless of which algorithm you choose. So instead, I'm going to use grain as a tape style loop player. So I'll go ahead and just mute this audio loop. And then, as in the previous video, there's just a few things that I need to set up in grain before I start chucking samples into it. I'll set the sample size to maximum, the decay and sustain to full as it's a loop. I don't want it to sort of die out, it should just play constantly. I'm going to set the playback mode to envelope 1 to loop, beat sync, and we'll just put this to 2 bars because it's a 2-bar loop. And then lastly, I'll set the mode to tape. Now let's chuck that same loop into grain and then see what happens as the tempo changes. So you can hear it's got a way bigger, slightly more lo-fi sound. And from here, all I would need to do is just sequence in one long note to keep the loop triggering. Now let's try duplicating that track and then using a different loop on the second grain. And as I showed you in the last video, grain will remember the folder that you were browsing in, so I can just kind of audition different loops by using the up and down arrows, and all I need to do is just change the duration depending on whether it's a 2, 4 or 8-bar loop. Now, once I was happy with those results, if I wanted to work with these as audio, I could just drag around all of them, right-click and bounce in place. And now I've got these as audio loops. So there's one more setting that I'll talk about really quickly, and that's key trig. So at the moment, the loop is going to restart every time there's a key pressed. With key trig turned off, it's going to act more like a gate that lets the loop through. So then what would happen if we had multiple loop playing grains and they were all set in this loop pass-through mode and they were all assigned to different keys? So in this example I have 8 grains, and you'll see in the combinator programmer that they're all set to only play on one key, and they're all running into this mixer here on the back. And the only other thing that I've really changed here is I've just put the amp attack time up a little bit as I was noticing that there was like a click every time that I sort of switched between loops. So what I can then do is just leave the transport playing, so all of these loops are going to be ready to kind of drop in at the right point, and then I can mix between these different loop channels by just playing keys on my keyboard. And in that way you could even create different loop layers on the fly by using 2 or more notes at the same time. So it's kind of an old school approach to working with loops, and it's definitely going to work better in some situations than others, but it's cool to know how to use it when you need it. What I'd like to do in another video, perhaps sometime soon, is talk about loop slicing, but I think in the interest of time, I'll stop here with this video. So again, if you have any questions or comments, just drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you when I can. Thanks for watching.